An editor's intervention saved the Joker from his intended demise, allowing him to return as a recurring character. This decision would shape the entire Batman universe, giving rise to one of the most iconic villains in comic book history. The Clown Prince of Crime was here to stay, and the world of Gotham would never be the same. Welcome, Hero Junkies. Come with us through the transformation of madness, tragedy, and the dark side of human nature as we uncover the complete unhinged story of the Joker. While the Joker had secured his place in Gotham's rogues gallery, his backstory was still a blank slate. In 1951, a fateful heist gone wrong would provide the missing piece of the puzzle. How could a simple robbery transform an ordinary criminal into the most feared villain in comic book history? The answer came in Detective Comics number 168, where readers finally got a glimpse into the Joker's mysterious past. This issue revealed that before he became the Clown Prince of Crime, the Joker was a criminal known as Red Hood. It was a revelation that would reshape the Batman mythos for generations to come. The story takes us back to a time when the future Joker was just another crook looking for a big score. As he puts it, quote, "I was a lab worker until I decided to steal $1 million and retire. So I became the Red Hood." His target? The Monarch Playing Card Company. Little did he know that this heist would change his life forever. During the robbery, things went sideways. The Red Hood found himself cornered by Batman, and in a desperate attempt to escape, he plunged into a vat of chemicals. This wasn't just any chemical bath. It was a toxic cocktail that would alter his appearance and mind in ways no one could have predicted. When the Red Hood emerged from the vat, he was forever changed. The chemicals had bleached his skin chalk white, turned his hair green, and twisted his lips into a permanent Halloween grin. But the physical changes were just the beginning. The trauma of the experience combined with the chemical exposure shattered his sanity. This origin story became a cornerstone of the Joker's character, providing a tragic backdrop to his madness. It wasn't just a random act of villainy that created Batman's greatest nemesis. It was a series of unfortunate events that stirred up in a chemical bath. This twist of fate added layers of deep madness to the Joker. The Red Hood persona didn't disappear with the Joker's transformation. Instead, it became a recurring theme in his lore, representing a significant part of his identity before he fully embraced being the Joker. This connection to his past has been revisited and reinterpreted by various writers over the years, each adding their own spin to the tale. Some versions of the story added more tragedy to the mix. In certain tellings, the future Joker was a struggling comedian with a pregnant wife. Desperate to provide for his family, he agreed to guide some criminals through the chemical plant where he once worked. His wife's accidental death on the same day pushed him over the edge, compounding his madness after the chemical accident. The impact of this origin story on the Joker's psyche and motivations can't be overstated. It provides a foundation for his obsession with Batman, as the Dark Knight was present at the moment of his transformation. It also explains his fascination with chemicals and toxins, which often feature in his criminal schemes.
Ultimately, it was a futile gesture.
No! Moreover, the Red Hood incident shaped the Joker's worldview. He sees his transformation as a cosmic joke, a random act of chaos that turned an ordinary man into a larger-than-life villain. This perspective fuels his belief that the world is inherently meaningless, and that sanity is a brittle facade easily shattered by one bad day. The chemical bath origin has become so iconic that it's been adapted into various media, from comic books to movies. It's a testament to the power of this narrative that has remained a central part of the Joker's mythos for over 70 years. As the Joker's origin story captivated readers, another force was brewing that would drastically alter his character. In a twist worthy of the Crown Prince himself, the murderous villain was about to become a prankster? The Silver Age of comics was dawning, and with it came changes that would leave even the Joker scratching his green-haired head. The 1950s brought a significant shift in the comic book industry, one that would reshape the Joker's character for years to come. The culprit behind this transformation? The Comics Code Authority. Established in 1954, this self-regulatory body was created in response to growing concerns about the impact of comic books on young readers. Its strict guidelines would have far-reaching consequences for many beloved characters, but perhaps none more so than the Clown Prince of Crime. Under the Comics Code, depictions of extreme violence and crime were heavily restricted. This posed a problem for a character like the Joker, whose murderous antics had been a cornerstone of his appeal. The comic book industry faced a choice: tone down their characters, or risk being shut out of the market entirely. For the Joker, this meant a drastic shift from a homicidal maniac to a mischievous trickster. Gone were the days of the deadly Joker venom and murderous schemes. Instead, readers were treated to elaborate but ultimately harmless pranks. The Joker's new modus operandi involved outsmarting Batman with comical traps and non-lethal gadgets, often more focusing on humiliating the Dark Knight than causing any real harm. This era saw the Joker engaging in increasingly outlandish pranks. He might try to crush Batman and Robin with giant coins, or use trick guns that shoot flags instead of bullets. These antics were far removed from his original portrayal, allowing the character to remain a central figure in Batman's rogues gallery while complying with the new regulations. The relationship between Batman and the Joker also underwent a significant change during this period. As the Caped Crusaders' methods became less brutal, so did the Joker's crimes. This led to a softer dynamic between the two, allowing for more playful interactions. The cat-and-mouse game between hero and villain took on a lighter tone, with the Joker's schemes often feeling more like elaborate practical jokes than serious threats to Gotham City. This new interpretation of the Joker was further cemented in popular culture by Cesar Romero's portrayal in the 1960s Batman television series. Romero's campy, over-the-top performance perfectly captured the spirit of the Silver Age Joker, bringing the character's transformation from killer to prankster to a wider audience. Interestingly, this shift in the Joker's character didn't diminish his popularity. If anything, it allowed him to become an even more prominent figure in the Batman mythos. The Clown Prince of Crime remained a fan favorite, his unpredictable nature and outrageous schemes keeping readers entertained even without the threat of violence. However, this softer portrayal of the Joker wasn't without its critics. Some fans and creators felt that the character had lost his edge, not being his former self. This tension between the Joker's darker origins and his more lighthearted Silver Age persona would continue to influence interpretations of the character for decades to come. In fact, the lasting impact of this era on the Joker's character can't be overstated. Even as later stories would return the Clown Prince of Crime to his more sinister roots, elements of his Silver Age portrayal would remain. The idea of the Joker as an unpredictable trickster capable of elaborate schemes and twisted humor became an integral part of his character. In 1988, Alan Moore and Brian Bolland's groundbreaking work, The Killing Joke, hit the shelves, forever changing the landscape of comic book storytelling. This graphic novel wasn't just another Joker story, it was a deep dive into the psyche of Batman's greatest nemesis, offering a harrowing origin story that would become the definitive version for years to come. The Killing Joke presents the Joker as a struggling comedian, desperately trying to support his pregnant wife. In a world that seems stacked against him, he agrees to guide criminals through the chemical plant where he once worked. It's a decision that sets off a chain of tragic events, culminating in a fateful encounter with Batman at the plant. But what makes this story so compelling isn't just the sequence of events, it's the underlying theme that Moore explores, the idea that sanity is a fragile thing, easily shattered by one bad day. The Joker believes that anyone, even someone as righteous as Batman or Commissioner Gordon, could be driven to madness under the right circumstances. The graphic novel takes us through the Joker's transformation, showing how a series of misfortunes and a chemical accident could turn an ordinary man into a psychotic criminal. It's a stark reminder of the thin line between hero and villain, sanity and madness. The Joker's descent into insanity is portrayed with a mix of tragedy and dark humor, creating a complex character that's both terrifying and oddly sympathetic. The story suggests a twisted bond between the two, with the Joker seeing Batman as a kindred spirit, someone else who had one bad day that changed everything. This interpretation adds layers of complexity to their antagonistic relationship, blurring the lines between hero and villain. The Killing Joke provided a psychological depth that had been largely absent from previous portrayals, turning him from a colorful criminal into a tragic figure. This version of the Joker, unpredictable, darkly humorous, and deeply damaged, would go on to influence countless future interpretations in comics, films, and television. However, the graphic novel's legacy is not without controversy. Its darker themes and violent content pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable in mainstream comics. Some critics argued that it went too far, particularly in its treatment of supporting characters like Barbara Gordon.
No, it's far too late for that.
Even Moore himself later expressed regret over certain aspects of the story, stating, quote, "I don't even think it's a good book." Despite these criticisms, The Killing Joke remains a powerful force in comic book history. Its exploration of the Joker's origins and motivations has been a lasting impact on how the character is understood and portrayed. The idea of the Joker as a character shaped by trauma and insanity rather than pure evil has become a cornerstone of modern interpretations. This more complex version of the Joker would go on to influence numerous adaptations across various media, from Heath Ledger's iconic performance in The Dark Knight to Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal in Joker. The echoes of The Killing Joke can be found in many modern takes on the character. While comic books were pushing the Joker into darker territory, his early screen appearances painted a very different picture. Imagine a world where the Joker remained a prankster rather than a psychopath. The journey from Cesar Romero's giggling jester to Jack Nicholson's twisted gangster reveals how our appetite for villainy has changed over the decades. The Joker's transition from page to screen began with Cesar Romero's iconic portrayal in the 1966 Batman TV series. Romero's Joker was a far cry from the murderous villain of the comics, instead embodying a flamboyant theatricality that became synonymous with the character for years to come. His performance established a campy, comedic nature that influenced all subsequent portrayals of the Clown Prince of Crime. In the 1966 series, the Joker was often portrayed as more of a nuisance than a lethal threat, aligning with the show's lighthearted tone. His schemes were elaborate but ultimately harmless, focusing on outsmarting Batman rather than causing real harm. This interpretation of the Joker as a prankster resonated with audiences of the time who were looking for escapist entertainment rather than dark, gritty realism. Romero's Joker was characterized by his maniacal laughter, outlandish costumes, and over-the-top plans. His performance set a standard for the character that would persist in popular culture for years, even as comic book writers were taking the Joker in a more sinister direction. The contrast between the campy TV Joker and his comic book counterpart highlighted the character's versatility and ability to adapt to different mediums and tones. However, as societal attitudes shifted and audiences began to crave more complex villains, the Joker's on-screen persona would undergo a dramatic transformation. Enter Jack Nicholson's portrayal in Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film.
You can call me Joker.
Nicholson's Joker marked a significant shift back to a darker interpretation, blending elements from both the campy and murderous versions of the character. Nicholson's performance was noted for its manic energy, showcasing the Joker's duality as both a comedic and terrifying figure. This version of the Joker was a violent and unpredictable character, establishing a template for future portrayals that emphasized a more serious and menacing side. The 1989 film's success helped solidify the Joker's portrayal as a complex character, leading to a deeper exploration of his psyche in later adaptations. One of the most significant additions to the Joker's lore in the 1989 film was the introduction of a backstory. Nicholson's Joker was given an origin as a gangster named Jack Napier, who fell into a vat of chemicals during a confrontation with Batman. This added depth to the character and personal stakes to his conflict with the Dark Knight, elements that would become central to the future interpretations of the Joker. The contrast between Romero's and Nicholson's portrayal highlights the Joker's ability to adapt to the tone of the times. In just over 2 decades, the character had shifted from a harmless trickster to a serious threat, reflecting broader societal changes in the portrayal of villains in media. This evolution demonstrates the Joker's enduring appeal and his capacity to remain relevant across different eras. The impact of these early screen portrayals on the Joker's character set the stage for future interpretations, each building on what came before while adding new layers to the character. And even though some fans might not like how those layers are falling, you have to admit, it's making for a deeper and more complex character. From Romero's theatrical clown to Nicholson's psychotic gangster, these performances established the Joker as a cultural icon capable of embodying both comedy and terror. In 2008, a new incarnation would emerge that would make even the most hardened Batman fans question everything they knew about the character. What made Heath Ledger's Joker so revolutionary that it changed the landscape of comic book movies forever? Enter Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, featuring Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker. This wasn't just another interpretation, it was a complete reimagining that would set a new standard for comic book villains. Ledger's Joker was a far cry from the flamboyant trickster of the past. Instead, he embodied pure chaos, a force of nature that seemed to exist solely to challenge the very foundations of society.
It's gone.
One of the most striking aspects of Ledger's Joker was his lack of a clear origin story. Unlike previous incarnations, this version of the character remained an enigma throughout the film. He would offer different explanations for his facial scars, each more unsettling than the last, but never revealing the truth. This ambiguity only added to his menace, making him unpredictable and all the more terrifying. Ledger's performance was a masterclass in creating unease.
He turns to me and he says, "Why so serious?"
His Joker was a bundle of nervous energy with unsettling tics and a voice that could switch from playful to menacing in an instant. He wasn't just a criminal, he was an agent of chaos, determined to prove that anyone could be pushed to madness given the right circumstances. His famous line,
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
"Some men just want to watch the world burn," perfectly encapsulated his nihilistic worldview. The impact of Ledger's portrayal on pop culture was immediate and lasting. His performance resonated with audiences and critics alike, earning him a posthumous Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight.
This marked a significant milestone, not just for Ledger, but for comic book movies as a whole. It was a recognition that these films could deliver performances of the highest caliber, challenging the notion that superhero movies were merely popcorn entertainment. Ledger's Joker became more than just a character. He became a cultural touchstone. His makeup and costume became instantly recognizable, spawning countless imitations and Halloween costumes. But more than that, his portrayal sparked discussions about morality, chaos, and the nature of evil. The Joker's ethos of unpredictability and his ability to sow confusion became a metaphor for the uncertainties of the post-9/11 world. This version of the Joker was both terrifying and compelling, a villain who could make audiences question their own moral foundations. He challenged Batman's code in ways no previous incarnation had, forcing the Dark Knight to confront the limits of his own ethics. The dynamic between Ledger's Joker and Christian Bale's Batman became the new gold standard for hero-villain relationships in comic book movies. Just when it seemed that the Joker's character couldn't get any more complex, the comics introduced a wild card that would change everything. What happens when a master manipulator meets his match? In 1992, Batman, the animated series, introduced a character that would revolutionize the Joker's world, Harley Quinn. Originally conceived as a one-off henchwoman, Harley quickly captured the hearts of fans and creators alike, eventually making her way into the comic book canon. But how did a character created for a cartoon become integral to the Joker's story? Harley Quinn's origin story is a testament to the Joker's manipulative nature. Dr. Harleen Quinzel, a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum, becomes fascinated with the Joker during their therapy sessions. Gradually, she falls in love with him, abandoning her career and sanity to become his partner in crime. This transformation from a dedicated professional to a costumed criminal showcases the Joker's ability to corrupt even those sworn to help him. The introduction of Harley Quinn added a new dimension to the Joker's character. For the first time, audiences saw the Clown Prince of Crime in a romantic relationship, granted a deeply dysfunctional one, but who's judging? This pairing allowed writers to explore the Joker's capacity for manipulation on a more personal level. He wasn't just terrifying Gotham anymore, he was systematically breaking down someone who loved him. However, the Joker's relationship with Harley is far from a typical love story. It's characterized by abuse, manipulation, and a constant power struggle. The Joker frequently insults, harms, or attempts to kill Harley, yet she remains devoted to him, convinced that he truly loves her because that's just Mr. J. This dynamic provides a chilling insight into the Joker's psyche, revealing his need for control and his inability to form genuine emotional connections.
Only if I do it, idiot! But it's still your plan, see? Everything just like you said!
The Joker and Harley's relationship became a cultural symbol, often representing toxic relationships in popular media. It sparked discussions about mental health, abusive dynamics, and the portrayal of relationships in comics. The complexity of their bond allowed for deeper explorations of themes such as love, obsession, and the effects of trauma, all through the lens of Gotham's most notorious villain. Harley's presence also served to highlight the Joker's insecurities. His violent reactions when feeling threatened or emasculated by Harley's successes reveals a vulnerability that hadn't been explored before. This added depth to the Joker's character, showing that even the embodiment of chaos could feel fear and jealousy. As Harley Quinn's popularity grew, so did her influence on the Joker's stories. She became a regular accomplice in his schemes, adding her own brand of chaotic energy to his plans. This partnership allowed writers to showcase different facets of the Joker's personality, from his cruel manipulations to rare moments of positive affection. The introduction of Harley Quinn also expanded the Joker's role in the Batman universe. No longer was he just Batman's nemesis. He was now at the center of a twisted love triangle that included Harley and Poison Ivy. This broadened the scope of stories that could be told with the Joker, moving beyond his obsession with Batman to explore his relationships with other characters in Gotham's underworld. The Joker's world expanded beyond Batman, but what if we stripped away everything else and focused solely on his origins? In 2019, a controversial film dared to do just that, offering a standalone story that would challenge everything we thought we knew about the Clown Prince of Crime. Todd Phillips' Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix, took a bold step by reimagining the iconic villain's backstory without the familiar trappings of Gotham City or Batman. Set in 1981, the film follows Arthur Fleck, a failed comedian struggling with mental illness in a decaying urban landscape. This gritty character study aimed to provide a unique origin story for the Joker, drawing inspiration from classic films like Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. Phoenix's portrayal of Arthur Fleck is a far cry from the flamboyant criminal mastermind we've come to expect. Instead, we witness a man beaten down by society, struggling with mental health issues and a lack of support. The film's Gotham City is a reflection of societal decay, mirroring Arthur's own deteriorating psyche. As Arthur's world crumbles around him, we see his gradual transformation into the Joker, driven by a series of violent events and societal rejection. One of the most striking aspects of Joker is its focus on mental illness. The film doesn't shy away from showing Arthur's struggles, including his interactions with social services and his difficulty in managing his condition. This approach sparked intense debate, with some praising the film for highlighting mental health issues, while others expressed concern over its portrayal. The controversy surrounding Joker extended beyond its treatment of mental illness. Critics and audiences alike grappled with the film's depiction of violence and its potential real-world implications. Some feared it could inspire copycat behavior, while others defended it as a necessary exploration of societal issues. This debate underscores the Joker's enduring ability to provoke strong reactions and serve as a mirror for society's fears and anxieties. Phillips and co-writer Scott Silver crafted a narrative that doesn't strictly adhere to any specific comic book storyline. Instead, they created a character study that builds upon the Joker's established lore while charting its own course. This approach allows for a more nuanced exploration of how a man like Arthur Fleck could become the Joker, examining the societal factors and personal traumas that shape his transformation. The film's narrative is punctuated by moments of dark humor and unsettling violence, reflecting the Joker's twisted worldview. As Arthur embraces his new persona, we see flashes of the charismatic villain he will become. But the journey is far from glamorous. The movie challenges viewers to confront uncomfortable truths about mental illness, societal neglect, and the thin line between sanity and madness. Joker also explores the idea of unreliable narration, a concept long associated with the character in comics. The film leaves certain aspects of Arthur's story open to interpretation, echoing the Joker's famous line, "If I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice." This ambiguity adds layers of complexity to the character, inviting viewers to question the reality of what they're seeing. Joaquin Phoenix's performance as Arthur Fleck/Joker was widely praised, earning him an Academy Award for Best Actor. His portrayal captures the character's internal struggle and gradual descent into madness with haunting authenticity. Phoenix's Joker is both terrifying and oddly sympathetic, forcing viewers to confront their own reactions to a character shaped by trauma and societal failure. Phoenix's Oscar-winning performance is just the latest chapter in the Joker's ever-expanding story. But what makes this character, conceived over 8 decades ago, still captivate audiences worldwide? The answer may surprise you, as recent comic storylines and academic studies reveal the Joker's unexpected role as a mirror for society's anxieties and desires. The Joker's impact on comic book culture is undeniable. Since his debut in 1940, he has become the quintessential supervillain, often recognized as Batman's greatest foe. His ability to adapt and evolve with the times has kept him relevant for over 80 years, a feat few fictional characters can claim. Recent comic storylines continue to push the boundaries of the Joker's character. The Three Jokers storyline, for example, explores the idea that there are multiple interpretations of the character, each representing different aspects of his complex personality. This narrative suggests that the Joker can be divided into 3 distinct personas: the criminal, the clown, and the comedian. This innovative approach not only adds depth to the character, but also reflects the various interpretations we've seen across different media over the years. The Joker's influence extends far beyond the pages of comic books. He's become a staple in video games, with appearances in popular titles like the Batman Arkham series. His image graces merchandise of all kinds, from t-shirts to action figures, cementing his status as a pop culture icon. This widespread presence across various media platforms has allowed the Joker to reach audiences who may have never picked up a comic book, further solidifying his place in the cultural zeitgeist. What makes the Joker's enduring popularity particularly fascinating is his ability to reflect societal fears and fascinations. Each era's interpretation of the Joker seems to embody anxieties of the time. In the 1940s, he was a ruthless killer, mirroring post-war fears. During the campy 1960s, he became a prankster, reflecting a lighter cultural mood. More recent portrayals have explored the themes of anarchy and societal upheaval, resonating with modern concerns about societal stability. The Joker's legacy has become a subject of academic study, with works like The Joker, a serious study of the clown prince of crime, exploring his psychological and cultural significance. These scholarly examinations delve into why a character so inherently chaotic and destructive continues to fascinate us. Perhaps it's because the Joker represents the unpredictable nature of life itself, the chaos that lurks beneath the surface of our ordered world. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Joker's character is his lack of a definitive origin story. While various backstories have been proposed over the years, the character's true beginnings remain shrouded in mystery. This ambiguity allows each generation to project its own fears and interpretations onto the character, ensuring his continued relevance. The Joker's ability to adapt to societal changes is perhaps his greatest strength. From the theatrical portrayal in the 1960s to the darker, more psychological interpretations in modern media, each version of the Joker reflects the cultural context of its time. This chameleonic quality ensures that the character never feels outdated or irrelevant. In many ways, the Joker serves as a dark mirror to Batman himself. While Batman represents order and justice, the Joker embodies chaos and anarchy. This duality has allowed for countless explorations of morality and the nature of heroism, adding depth to both characters and the stories they inhabit. As we continue to grapple with the darker aspects of human nature, the Joker remains a compelling figure, challenging our perceptions of sanity, morality, and the thin line between order and chaos. For more character breakdowns, please make sure you like and subscribe.